The dock workers on the East Coast have officially gone on strike as of today, Tuesday, October 1st. So in today's video, I want to tell you 4 things. Number 1, what happened? 2, how this affects all of us. 3, should you go panic buy things right now? And 4, my prediction on when this is going to end. So listen, I'm going to talk to you very straightforward, very honestly. I'm not going to waste your time with drama or fake news. So here's what happened. The major ports in the East Coast and Gulf Coast, they have now shut down. So the dock workers have gone on strike against the port operators. Why? It's over the labor contract. So why? It's because of pay raises. They couldn't come to an agreement on pay raises and also automation. They want guarantees. Well, dock workers want guarantees that automation is not going to replace human workers. Okay, so they've been trying to work out a deal ever since June. They had a 6-year contract. That contract expired last night, September 30th, and they couldn't come to an agreement. Okay, so why is it just the East Coast and Gulf Coast? It's because those ports, they're represented by the ILA, International Longshoremen's Association. So the West Coast, they're represented by a different organization. Okay, so I want you to know that this strike, it is a major problem. And I'm gonna explain it to you simply. I've written down some stats to show you how severe the situation is. So we're talking about 36 major ports from Maine to Texas. Estimates are around 47,000 dock workers. If they're not working, then all the shipments that are being made on containers by sea, they're not going to be unloaded and moved. 14 of the ports account for half of the country's container trade. So with all the ports from the ILA, we're talking about close to 60% of the container trade. So the products include, it's just about everything. Everything from medicine, electronics, cars, clothing, food, etc. So this will be the ILA's first strike since 1977. Now, every day that the dock workers are not working, obviously that's problematic because that's going to cause supply chain disruptions. And if there's disruptions, you know what happens, and the prices inflate, they go up because of supply and demand. And I just want you to know that once they do reach a deal, it's not like everything's just immediately going to go back on track because there's going to be a backlog of containers that have to be unloaded and moved. So every day that the strike continues, it's going to cause more of an issue, more of a disruption. So they're saying that a 1-week strike could cause slowdowns until mid-November. Now, if you want to think of solutions really quickly, you can't just bypass this whole situation. You can't just say, okay, if the East and Gulf are closed, then let's just take the shipments all the way to the West Coast. Obviously, that's going to take a lot of time, very expensive. And then the West Coast ports would be all jammed up and backlogged. President Biden has the power to stop this strike under the 1947 Taft-Hartley Act, but Biden has explicitly said that he's not going to get involved. Well, he's not going to get involved by doing that. He's not going to invoke it. Okay, so that is the current situation as of today, October 1st. Now, I want to give you my prediction and answer some, very good questions. So the first question is, should you go panic buy items right now? My honest answer, my sincere, honest answer is no. You don't have to do that. You probably shouldn't do that. So the dock workers and port operators, they've been battling for months, as I told you. So retailers saw this coming. They prepared for this. They stocked up on items. You're going to be fine. So I'm talking about most Americans for certain areas that got devastated by Helene. I'm sure it's chaos over there. There's already major problems getting goods. They need help. But for most Americans, there's not going to be shortages on most goods. But I do want to clarify this. For certain goods, yes, they are at a higher risk of shortages. So for example, perishable goods. So if you're a retailer, let's just say that you're preparing for Halloween sales. You could stock up on those items, on those goods months in advance, right? But you can't stock up months in advance for, let's just say, bananas. So 75% of our bananas are imported in the East Coast and Gulf Coast, those ports. But it's not all perishables. Like if you're afraid of not being able to, if you love tomatoes, you love potatoes, don't be too concerned because we grow that here in America. Just go to your local farmer. It's probably healthier for you anyways. But for certain perishable goods like bananas, I can tell you that I can drive around all of Chicago. I probably won't be able to find a banana farmer. So yeah, if you love bananas that much and you're afraid of losing your access to vitamin B6 and potassium, then yeah, go stock up on bananas. Like, go nuts, go bananas. But overall, I don't think that you have to be too concerned. The reason why I'm saying this is because my prediction is that this strike will not last longer than 2 weeks. I think that relatively soon, yes, they will reach a deal. The government is not going to get involved directly, but I believe that, yes, they will be involved behind the scenes. If this gets dragged out, it truly would be chaos for the entire country. And the government, they're not going to let that happen so close to the elections. So listen, I do want to tell you this. When I talk to you about how screwed our country's situation is, about inflation, the national debt crisis, the politics, some people say that I could get too negative, right? I want you to know that I am not a negative person. I'm just simply giving you the truth, the facts and the truth. And this is a perfect example of me saying that there will not be chaos, there will not be disorder. I'm telling you that this is going to get resolved relatively quickly, less than 2 weeks. That's the truth. And I don't care if the truth is positive and optimistic or negative and pessimistic. My duty is to tell you the truth so that you can have good information that will help you. But yes, this strike, it will cause slowdowns and disruptions, but it's not going to be chaos on the streets and you don't have to go panic buy things. But listen, I do want to tell you this. I want to share this with you. This is personal, so this is about me. So I believe that it is a good idea to be prepared. I personally have a stockpile. I already have canned goods. I have MREs. I have water filtration. I have medicine. I have an energy source. I have ammo. I have a lot of toilet paper. So in situations like these, well, personally, I'm not going to go panic buy. You should have been prepared anyways to start with, but that's just me, and that's where I'm coming from. Now, if you think that's being paranoid or extreme, well, I just want to say, well, first, don't judge. And second, it's good to be prepared. You never know what's going to happen. Just look at this country. People are already at each other's throats. It's just crazy. And I do want to say that dock workers, they have my deepest appreciation and thanks because they really kept this country running during the pandemic. You could say the same thing about truck drivers, everyone in logistics, and especially healthcare. I would say there's so many Americans that still have a sense of duty, and that restores my faith in humanity. Anyways, God bless America. Don't panic, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. This is not gonna cripple America. It's gonna be the politicians and central bankers that do that. Please subscribe. Thank you for the support, and wish you a very nice day. Take care.